never had a record, picked up on a warrant he didn't know he had, was in Van Nuys, transferred to Twin Towers. While inside, talks to you, everything's fine, he's ready to come home on the weekend. Instead of him coming home, 5 days later, you get a call saying that he's dead. And they don't know why. His brain is missing. We don't know why. What the fuck is going on?
Girl, we still trying to understand what just happened. I know he got picked up on March 2nd of, 2018. I guess he was walking to the store to a 7-Eleven and the police stopped him, and when they stopped him, they ran his name, and I guess he had a warrant out for his arrest for not showing up to court.
Quinten didn't have a record, only the one situation.
Yeah, just minding his argument, but with him not knowing, how the system works, he never went or showed up to the court date. So I'm thinking he was probably walking to the store, and then the way he looks, he's tall, black, tattoos, dreadheads, and when I picked up his clothes from the coroner's office, he was wearing dark clothing, like sweats, a long sleeve hoodie, and a beanie, and his white shoes. So they probably just thinking, oh, what is he? He don't look like he belong in this area type shit. It was just messing with him. So he called me on the 3rd and the 4th and said that he was, in there or whatever, and he should be out this weekend, that he wanted to see the baby.
So he gets picked up in Northridge. He's in Van Nuys. Then they transfer him to Twin Towers.
Yeah.
And Twin Towers was where he passed.
Yep. And he was in there for 7 days, exactly. The last conversation we had, we were just talking in general. I remember I was telling him about his little cousins. They were playing with me on Instagram and talking about some math. And so I was telling him about that, and then he was asking about the baby. And he was, because, we wasn't together at the time. We had just gone through a breakup, and we were both trying to, So he had asked, if I had moved on, and if I was doing good and stuff, and if I was in school, and I told him yeah, and he just told me that he still believes in me, and he hopes that I do good, and that he still loves me, and that he should be home this weekend. He wanted to see the baby.
And who is this?
Ashanti Thomas.
Hi, Mommy. How are you? You're so pretty.
Daddy's angel, huh?
So beautiful. Okay. Yes, Daddy's angel. I heard that. I know that this is hard, and I thank you for really sitting here and sharing. I can't take the glitter off. I'm sorry. It's glued on. I'm sorry. The day you got the call, what was going on with you that day?
And I was in the grocery store, and I got a call from a private number, and he stated that he was a detective and that he wanted to talk to me about Quinten. And so I told him to meet me at the McDonald's on Imperial and Figueroa. When I walked in, there was a tall white bald man with the black suit on. And even before I sat down, I just sat there and asked him, is he alive? And he was just like, unfortunately, no. That they found him unresponsive in a jail cell, in a one-man cell at that. And that supposedly he was refusing to take seizure medication, and they found some pills in his cell, and that upon intake he got into it with the nurse. And so I immediately went hysterical, and while I'm crying, he's sitting here trying to ask me all these questions. I couldn't respond to anything though. I couldn't do anything. I called him the following Monday about the autopsy report because he said he had footage, and his exact words were, they found no natural cause of death. And then I had asked him, is there any way we could see the footage? And he was like, oh, well, there's procedures and protocols we're gonna have to go through, and all this other stuff. So, and then he turns around and tells me that it wasn't a nurse he got into it with, it was another inmate. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, that was already a flag for me. You're a detective. Why are you sitting here telling me one story, and then you turn around and tell me another story? And then on top of it, you guys don't even know why he passed?
And they kept his brain, why?
Oh, because as soon as I called the Dr. Augustine, And he immediately went into like, oh, under California law, section code 2479 or something like that, we're allowed to keep tissues and specimens to do further testing if we can't find like the cause of death. And I'm just like, okay, well, you didn't just take a piece or a tissue, you took a whole organ. Like, now, like, isn't there some type of law to where you have to notify somebody in the family before you release the body from the coroner's office to the funeral home before we bury the body? Because now you're messing with people's spiritual beliefs. If we would have buried Quinten and he didn't have everything there, then he's not going to be put to rest. And you didn't tell nobody that you kept his brain. And you still not telling it for why. And then it's like, when I asked him, like, oh, well, did he, his on the outside, did he have any bruises or, like, you know, is there any gashes, marks on him? Like, lumps, anything? And he's like, oh, because his status is deferred, I'm not allowed to comment on that. I'm just like, are you serious? The attorney that we had, thank God, like, she fronted the money to do another independent autopsy. Okay. So if it wasn't for her, we would have never found out that they kept his brain.
What is one thing that you want to share with folks about Quinten, or what is it that you want people at home to know about what you're going through?
Just this little girl right here. Even though you being stubborn. I don't know, just honestly, just don't wait until it hits home, because it's like it could happen to anybody, you know, especially as people of color. Like, you just walking down the street, driving in your car, it's like, oh yeah, you hear about these stories, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, until it's your brother or your daddy or your uncle or your baby's father or something like that, you know? So it's like, and then at the end of the day, you just gonna be the one asking for help. And it's fucked up because, you know, you feel like you going up against the justice system in all the counties, LA County at that, and like you only one person, but like you're not alone though. I know it's other people out there willing to help, because I want to be here right now, you know. So it's just like, like, he wasn't a bad person. He was a full-time college student. He was an amazing father. Like, he wasn't out there partying, doing drugs, no, none of that. He didn't drink, no, none of that, you know. It was he was literally a family and a school man. All he wanted to do was to be successful and to live comfortable and to be able to help people and give back to the people who were able to help him when he needed it. So it's like, I don't know.
I want everyone to know that someone somewhere deep down loves you. Forget about the things you wish you had or could have had, and notice the things you have, and that's love.